Congressman Bob Good here with your weekly Good News from Washington. It certainly was a busy week here in Washington, D.C. In our Budget Committee, we held a hearing to hear from the CBO Director, Congressional Budget Office Director, for him to explain how the CBO has been so inaccurate in their forecasts and projections for the cost, particularly of Biden's massive government spending, particularly the Inflation Increase Act, where they missed the estimate by about $1 trillion. So we're trying to get greater accountability for the CBO and how it advises Congress on what things are going to cost. In our Education Workforce Committee, we marked up a bill that's reforming higher education and how funding is done by the federal government to help students afford college. Thankfully, I was able to arrive at a $42 billion savings in that bill with changes that I was able to make to it. So it'll really end up saving the taxpayers about $125 billion by canceling Biden's student loan forgiveness schemes that he still has in play for the remainder of this year. But the bill will also bring greater transparency so families can know what college is actually going to cost them when they're making those decisions for themselves and for students themselves as well. And the Homeland Security Committee is moving forward with impeachment of Secretary Mayorkas, who deserves to be impeached for his failure to secure our border, his failure to enforce our laws, his lying to Congress when he's been called in to testify. So I'm thankful that that is moving forward in the House, and hopefully we'll have a vote on that as soon as next week. We did pass a couple of border security bills in the House this week, which I was thankful to be able to support. One would create criminal offenses for illegals who use vehicles to flee from Border Patrol. Another one would ensure that no one who is involved in the Hamas attack on Israel on October 7 would be legal or eligible to come into the U.S. And then finally, another one that would make it a deportable offense for an illegal alien who commits Social Security fraud. In other words, uses fraud by using someone else's Social Security number. We did pass a tax bill yesterday, and it had some tax cuts for businesses, things like deducting interest, deducting research and development, deducting equipment expenses, I should say. And I support those. Those are good pro-growth policies. But unfortunately, I had to vote against the bill because it contained a massive growth of the welfare state, massive increase, some $30 billion in child tax credits, which means giving cash checks to those who don't pay any income taxes, where the federal government is actually subsidizing families having more children, and that is an expansion of the welfare state that we just can't afford. Plus, it did not prohibit illegals, illegal aliens. We've got 10 million more of those in the country under this president. It doesn't prohibit illegal aliens from accessing those tax credits or those checks for child tax credits. Finally, I sent some letters this week to the Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and the House Oversight Committee Chairman Jamie Comer, asking both of them for answers on the Naming Rights Commission. We're asking for the records on everything that went into the deliberations, the meeting minutes, the correspondence on this Naming Rights Commission that's been removing our monuments and our statues and our memorials and really trying to erase our history. We're trying to get answers on those deliberations and what took place for that naming commission, which has now concluded its work. So we're asking the Oversight Committee to hold hearings and for the Defense Secretary to send us that information. And then I was happy to sign on with my friend Andy Ogles from Tennessee and about 70 other Republicans asking Speaker Johnson to oppose reauthorizing the Undetectable Firearms Act, which is another one of Biden's gun control efforts, weaponizing his government against God-given Second Amendment rights for Americans. So thank you for the privilege of representing you in Washington.